Hello and welcome. This is my tutorial on how to solve a Pyraminx. So first, let's go over a little bit of notation. So the first thing to know is that there are three main types of pieces. Alright, the first type, which is probably the simplest, are the tips. And they are exactly at the four corners of the Pyraminx. Okay, so the tips are probably the easiest to solve once you realize that there's really nothing to them. Okay, once you have everything else solved, it's as simple as just turning the tips one way or another in order to line them up. Right, directly below the tips are the centers. Okay, the centers have three different colors, like this one right here. This is all one piece where my three fingers are touching right here. That's yellow, blue, and red. Alright, centers, just like centers on the 3x3, never actually change location. They can rotate in place, and in this case, rotating in place matters. Unlike the 3x3, where rotating in place doesn't matter, because there actually is a correct way to have it rotated, but the centers never actually move. So let's scramble this some. You know, we'll flick the tip some, and we'll rotate it a bunch. Okay, notice that no matter how much I rotate this, or rotate any other side, as long as I'm not turning the Pyraminx as a whole, on the top will always be the yellow, green, blue center. Moving this side or this side as much as I want will not change that. Turning the back will not change that. And in fact, turning the top only changes its rotation, but it still stays there. That's its center. Okay. Now you might say, well, I could do this, and that changes the center from the top to the back. But really, doing a turn like this is the same thing as doing a turn like this, and then just turning the puzzle as a whole. So yeah, it can appear that they're moving, but they're not really, at least relative to one another. So at the very beginning of a solve, if you wanted to, although this isn't necessarily suggested, what you can do, like here I have a scramble, is I can just look at each tip and notice the tip is always connected to the center. So they're always going to share the same three colors. So this one has green, yellow, and blue, just like the center has green, yellow, and blue. And a simple flick will line those up. So you can do that for all of them if you want. This is yellow, blue, and red, and turning it will match it up with the center. Same thing here. We'll match it up with blue, green, red, and the same thing here. We'll match it up with yellow, green, and red. So that matches up all the tips to the centers. There's a total of 4 centers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like there are 4 tips. Now the remaining pieces are all edges. Okay, edges look like this. They'll always be exactly halfway through on any edge of the pyramid of the Pyraminx, and it has exactly 2 colors. So in total there are 6 edges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's really where the puzzle comes in, is placing those edges correctly. Alright, but before we get into the details of that, we've already lined up all the tips with the centers. Notice the centers do have an orientation to them. Okay, so for example, notice, for example, these 3 centers, this has yellow, blue, red, yellow, blue, green, and yellow, red, green. The only common color all 3 of those centers have is yellow. So that tells you the correct orientation is to have them all facing the same way. Yellow, yellow, yellow. And then on top, notice that also lines this up: green, green, red, red, blue, blue. On top, a simple turn will line that up, and then you have absolutely everything but the edges. Okay? Not that this is necessarily how you solve it, but it's important to notice that. So if you see any center like this one, the green, red, blue, since it doesn't have the color yellow, that's the one color it's missing, that tells you that the opposite side should be yellow. Alright, so let's give this a scramble a little bit. And let's actually go into how to solve it. Okay, and I'm going to do this step by step. This is a relatively quick method. I'll kind of discuss a couple different ways that you could do it. But what I like to do is I always start with the exact same corner, unless, you know, there's really an advantage to picking a different one because it's already solved. So what I do is, because I like to have my yellow be my last side that I focus on, is I find the one tip that doesn't have yellow right here. Okay? The very first thing I do is I turn the tip in order to match it with the center below it. So if you want, that's step one, and a pretty easy step one at that. Next, of the 3 edges that go below it, I try to find those and put those in place. So for example, right here, I see this is red and green, so that means that this edge should be red and green. If you look around the puzzle, you can find the red and green. In fact, it's just right here. Here's the red-green edge. So what I can do is do a couple moves in order to bring this here. So I can bring it down, so that way it's no longer part of this rotating pieces. And then here, by taking this red-green and just putting it up, I have 1 edge solved. Remember, my goal is to get 2 of the edges solved. Doesn't matter which 2, whichever is easier. So right now, I see here's red-blue, which needs to go in this red-blue spot, and here's green-blue, which needs to go in this green spot. This one's probably the easier one because it's a single rotation up, and that's it. So that all those together are probably really step 1. So you align this tip with its center below, and you get 2 edges correctly placed, which means you should have this entire triangle here, and you should have these 3 match and these 3 match. Once you do that, you're ready for step 2, and step 2 is pretty easy. Again, I always pick the corner so that way that doesn't have yellow. Then what I do is I hold it on back and I hold this tip toward me, the one that has the 1 edge that isn't solved. Then I simply align the tip with the center, just like this, and then I put the yellow down. Now, rotate that off to the side and do the next one. So again, align up the tip and put the yellow down. And do once more. Put this, turn it around. Now line up the tip and put the yellow down. Now at this point, I have all of the tips correct, all of the centers in the correct rotation. I might afterwards have to do an extra turn of the bottom. And the only thing, and I have 2 edges solved. So I have 4 edges unsolved. 1, 2, 3, 4. Although this one actually is coincidentally solved. Okay? So that's step 2. That step completes all the rest of the tips and orients all the centers correctly. The next thing to do is to put back in this last edge in order to complete the entire upper pyramid. Okay? So to do that, you're going to rotate the bottom until the piece that you want, in this case red-blue, that's the piece you want up here, is on the back. Okay? Now you'll look and you'll see blue here. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this, which should be blue. This is where the blue should go. Rotate it down. Put it in. So now you see they match. Put up that. Actually, yeah. Put that up and then put this back down. So it's 4 total moves and that does it. Now we're down to only 3 edges being incorrect. Okay? And usually once 3 edges are incorrect, you're very close to solving it. See, here we have it solved. Okay? So before we go to the last step, which is solving those last 3 edges, let's go ahead and scramble this and kind of go through it again, our steps. Okay? Now, your entire first step, if possible, you want to plan during your inspection if you want to be able to get a good time. So let's go ahead and solve this. So the first thing is I find my my tip that doesn't have any yellow because I want to save yellow for last. That's my own personal preference. You don't have to do it. So as I'm planning, obviously I know I'm going to turn the tip to match the center. I'm going to turn it this way. Now here, is red, blue. You're going to be looking for edge pieces that don't have yellow. That's how you're going to find ones here. So I could just rotate this down, around, and put it there, but that looks to be about 3 moves to put it in. Is there an easier one? Well, here's blue, green. That's not too bad. That's 2 moves away, but this one's only a single move away. Red, green would just rotate straight up. So probably that's what I do. So let's go ahead and get started. So tip, put the red, green in, and then the last one, blue, green. I don't want to put it up right like this, because that'll put it in backwards. Instead, I'll rotate the top and put it in from this angle. Now I have that. That's step 1. I have the tip matched up with the center, and I have 2 edges. Now hold that in the back with this tip forward. Now step 2 is just to put all the yellows down. So the yellow center's already down. I just fix the tip and rotate it off to the side. Same thing, fix the tip. It's already rotated down, put it back to the side. Now align the tip with the center, put it down, and you've got all of them. Now it's only a single turn away from finishing it off. Now notice coincidentally our 3rd step is already done. This edge just happened to solve itself. Sometimes that happens, in which case you would just align it up and you would do whatever formula is necessary to finish your last 3 edges. Okay, so your last 3 edges can come in 6 different possibilities, one of which is solved. If you have it solved, then the most you might have to do is just line up your last layer with this smaller pyramid and you're done. You hit the timer, you're finished. So that's the easiest one to recognize, solved. Okay. The next one that I want to discuss is probably this one. Okay, that's where you've done your pyramid, you've gotten it all, and of your 3 edges that aren't solved, one of them actually is solved, and the other 2 just need flipped in their place. Okay, this one can be done from a lot of different angles, but I think the quickest way to do it is as follows. A lot of these formulas are going to have the same 4 sets of moves over and over again. So before we get that started, let me introduce those moves. So the moves that I want to, or the formula that I want to introduce to you is the sledgehammer on the right and the sledgehammer on the left. Okay, and essentially it goes like this. Okay, the sledgehammer on the right, or just sledgehammer if you want, is you hold it like this with the thumbs here and here and kind of gripping these centers. Okay, and you go the right going down, the right going down, or sorry, the left going down, the right going up, and the left going up. That is the sledgehammer. Okay, doing that in reverse is what I call the left sledgehammer. So that would be left going down, right going down, left going up, right going up. So let's review these again. The sledgehammer, or right sledgehammer, is going down, down, up, up, starting on the right hand side. So down, down, up, up. The left sledgehammer is the same thing, down, down, up, up, holding your puzzle like this, but starting on the left hand side. So down, down, up, up. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, what is the formula to do this case where your 3 edges look like this? This one's completely solved in place and these 2 just need to flip in place. It's simply do this, the right sledgehammer. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, turn the top like this. Put this up. So put the left up. Turn this back the way it was using your left finger, and then put it down. And that's it. So let's show that again. So for this situation, which is number 2 out of our 6, remember the first situation was it's solved, is just do the right sledgehammer. So down, down, up, up. Turn the top this way. Put this up. Turn the top this way. Put it down. And that's it. Now, mind you, this can be done for multiple ways. I think this way is the fastest way for me personally. because you don't have to regrip the puzzle so much. You just kind of flick and flick. There's a little bit of a regrip with this hand. It just kind of makes it a little bit quicker. But another way that you can do this formula is do the sledgehammer and then rotate the the puzzle this way, and then do the left sledgehammer. Really, it amounts to the exact same thing. And maybe that's easier to remember. So it'd be just sledgehammer, rotate, left sledgehammer, and that rotates 2 of them. So sledgehammer, rotate, left sledgehammer. Okay, so now we have 2 of our 6 done. The next 2 I'm going to look at are probably the easiest ones. So the first looks like this. Okay, basically you'll see, oh, again, you know, as far as just looking at the yellow goes, just like the previous one, you have 2 that aren't yellow and 1 that is, but this one isn't solved. In that case, you either have one case or it's a mirror image. So what you do is you look at this color, it's red, all right? And you find the side and you put both of those up, so red and like this. Then, if the 2 blank slots are on the right, you do the right sledgehammer. If they were on the left, you do the left sledgehammer. So just right sledgehammer. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's solved. The other case looks more like this, okay, for these 3 edges. So here you see blue. This is the one that's actually oriented correctly. So you find the blue side and you put those 2 up. And then since these 2 are the ones that aren't flipped and they're on the left, you do left sledgehammer. So that's 2 more of our possibilities. So we've got solved, which is the easiest. You got 2 edges flipped, and then you have those 2. So that's 4 out of the 6 possibilities. The only other ones look like this, where all 3 yellow be correct, but they need to be rotated around. Okay? So here's the basic idea. Notice which way it needs to rotate. This green needs to rotate here, this blue needs to rotate down, and this red needs to rotate up. So whichever way you hold it, you're going to have 2 common colors. See, green, green, or blue, blue, or red, red. Okay? Put it, do the sledgehammer on the side of the main pieces, not the piece that needs to be filled into that spot. So do sledgehammer on that side. Oh, sorry, I said that backwards. Do it on the side with the piece. My mistake. Yeah, so then it doesn't matter for which rotation you do. So here I see blue and blue, do it on the side of the piece, so I'm going to do a lefty sledgehammer. And then that takes us back to one of the previous 2 cases. So I see, oh, I've got 2 flipped incorrectly, 1 flipped correctly, although not put in the right spot. And I see red is the one that's flipped correctly. So I find the red side, put both those up, and then I notice that the 2 that aren't oriented are on my left. So I do a left sledgehammer. And that finishes it. So, let me get to the other situation. Now for this one, notice it's the same thing as the previous one. This is the last case that we have to discuss, except for it's rotating the other way. Green goes here, red goes down, and blue goes up. So again, no matter how you're holding it, you're going to have 2 common colors. Green with a green piece, all the blue with a blue piece, red with the red piece. However you hold it, you put the piece down. So that means you're going to start with this right sledgehammer, and then that'll put you in the other situation. So here you see blue and blue piece is the one that's oriented correctly, so you put the blue up with it, so you're holding them both like this. And now since these 2 are the ones that are not oriented, you're going to do it on that side, so right sledgehammer. So that's all 6 of the possibilities. The thing that's going to make you take the longest at first for solving this is recognizing which of the 6 cases that you have. Okay, so let's do an example solver too. So let's scramble this up. And all right, that looks good. And I'm going to continue doing it with yellow as my last side. So I pick the tip that doesn't have it, and I rotate it to match the center underneath. then I get two edges correctly. I see this one, it's in the correct spot but rotated. So if I wanted to do that one, I would just put it down, rotate the top, and put it up, for example. And then I see, for example, this one, which I could just, if I'm putting it straight up, I'll put it in backwards. So instead I rotate the top and put it up. Now when I have those, I go to step 2, which is just lining up the tip and bringing yellow down. Okay. Doing this, of course, on the side, holding the two correct ones on the back. And then rotate it off to the side. Do the same thing here. Yellow, yellow. Same thing here. Bring it down. Yellow, yellow. Okay. Now, just like before, I put my edge on the back. And I see that's blue. So I'm going to take this blue, put it down, put it in, and put it up. That completes, and then, sorry, put this back down. It's all 4 moves. That completes this edge, so I have all 3 of these. So then I can just align that up with the centers. And then I have one of the 6 possibilities. And in this case, it's just the one that's 4 moves away. It's the easiest case. So they see blue is the only one that's oriented correctly, so yellows. So I hold the blue up, and then since these 2 are the ones that aren't oriented correctly and they're on the right, I do right sledgehammer. And that's it. I've solved it. All right, one last example, and then I think we will leave it at that. So hopefully you realize this isn't that bad of a puzzle. Most people, even without any instruction, can get it solved down to maybe the last 2 or 3 edges for the most part. All right, so that has yellow, that has yellow, that has yellow. So this is the corner I want without yellow. So I flick the tip, and then I see, okay, this one's in the correct spot but needs flipped. This one needs to go here. Is there any, where's the last one? Ah, that's the easiest one to put in. Red, blue, just rotate straight up. So perhaps that's all I can do to prepare my first 15 seconds inspection, is just tip and rotate up. And then I can see the red, green needs to go here. Now doing it like this will put it in incorrectly, so I go like this and put it in. Now hold this on the back and just put the yellows down. So line up the tip, put it down, rotate off to the side. Line up the tip, put it down, rotate off to the side. Line up the tip, rotate it down. In this case, we got real lucky. We hit our timer and we're done. Okay. Since that was kind of a short example because we happened to get lucky, let's do one more example. All right. So find the tip that's not yellow. This one. Let's see. Here's red, blue. So that's probably the easiest to do. I just rotate it to here and then put it in. So do the tip, rotate it, put it in. And then I've got this red, green, which I can rotate the top and put it in, hold it on the back. So step 1 is done. These 2 pieces are incorrect and the tip matches with the center. Now just put yellows down, rotate off to the side, yellows down, rotate off to the side, yellows down. Good. Now I'm trying to put in the green, blue piece, so I want to hold it in the back, which it's already there. Great. Notice I see blue, so I'm going to put this blue sticker down this way. Rotate it in, put it back up, and rotate this back down. All right, good. So now we have that correctly, or put in correctly. Line these up, and now I have this situation. So remember, no matter how you hold it, it doesn't matter. But I see, oh, these are the 2 common colors, and I put the piece down. So I do a left sledgehammer. Okay, and then I rotate blue, and I do again a left sledgehammer, and that finishes it off. So just to review really quickly, the last 6 cases, we have this one, which is an edge completely in the right spot and 2 edges that need to flip in place. And for this, you just do a right sledgehammer, turn the top like this, put this up, turn the top back the other way, and put this back down. Or from another point of view, that is just right sledgehammer, rotate the cube to this side, and a left sledgehammer, if you think that's quicker. It's perhaps easier to memorize, but I don't necessarily know it's quicker to actually execute. The next one is just whenever you have one oriented correctly but it's incorrect, and then the other two are not flipped correctly. And for this one, you look at this color, blue, you find the blue side, and you hold both those up, and then since these two are not flipped on the left, you do a left sledgehammer, and that solves it. Or it's mirror image, which is the same situation. One flipped correctly because you can see it matches with the yellow, two not. You see this is red, so you hold the red up, and then since these two are not flipped, you do right sledgehammer. So that was 3 of them, and then the last 2 are something like this, where you have a rotation of 3, and again, you just look at, however you're holding it, you look at the common colors, red and red, and you put the piece down, so that would be, since it's on the left, left sledgehammer, okay, and then you rotate it so that way, because you see green, so that green's up, and then again, you do left sledgehammer. Or oops. This way, the last mirror image, which is, again, doesn't matter how you hold it, this and this color match, so you put the piece down, so it's right sledgehammer, and then rotate this way, and right sledgehammer. Alright, I believe that's it. Thanks for watching. Hopefully now you can solve a Pyraminx, and with this method, you can solve it pretty quick. Chances are, with only a few days of practice, depending on how familiar you are with puzzles, you might be able to solve it in under a minute or even under 30 seconds. With this method, I solve probably around 15 seconds, and once my ability to see the formulas quicker gets better, I might even be able to get under 10 seconds with this method. So it's a pretty decent method, kind of an intermediate method. So thanks for watching.